Well, they've been the realm of science fiction since the 1920s, but these days robots are very much a reality. And with incredible leaps in technology, artificial intelligence is increasingly able to pass as human.
With more and more digital applications and technologies continuing to emerge, we ask global futurist Anders Somen-Nielsen to debunk all the AI myths and tell us which jobs are most at risk. And Anders Somen-Nielsen joins us live at the desk. Welcome, Anders.
Good to be here.
Now, to begin with, just tell us, what does artificial intelligence actually mean?
So it's essentially the ability of a computer to mimic some of the intelligence that we as humans actually possess. So it's a subset of computer science, effectively.
Okay.
This isn't the future, Matt. It's been around for years. Should we be worried that machines are going to take over?
Well, I think we should, actually. We should be concerned that some of the human abilities are being overtaken by robots. So we can think of, in some ways, artificial intelligence to do what robots did to our brawns as artificial intelligence doing to our brains. So it's not just blue-collar work, but it's also white-collar work being at risk.
Okay, so what types of jobs do you think are at risk?
Well, you know, once upon a time my dad told me I should either become a lawyer, a banker, or a medical professional, like a doctor, for example. But all of those ones are actually at risk too. In fact, up to 50% of all banking jobs might be up for digitisation and roboticisation over the next 15 to 20 years, according to some studies.
So it was good that you didn't listen to your father then.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, I get to work as a futurist, which means that I'm essentially a glorified astrologer, according to my mum.
Well, I started out as a carpenter, so maybe my carpentry skills can come into the world of robots and create a job for me in building or maintaining them. Can artificial intelligence create jobs for us?
I think it can. I mean, there's so many aspects to artificial intelligence that are yet unknown, thus they're artificial, right? But for example, as a coding ethicist, for example, in the era of self-driving cars, you're about to have an impact. Who in the car, if you know there's a probability that someone might be injured or even die, who should the computer choose?
A coding ethicist.
Exactly. So the philosophy of kind of going, hey, what's the ethics of one person dying over another one, for example? Of course, there's an upside to this as well, right?
Sure.
Because surely humans ultimately have to be controlling the computers. So, I mean, there have to be maybe more jobs created in that area.
Of course, so coding ethicists and making sure that there are rules based for the computers and artificial intelligence to be able to operate is absolutely critical. So when we look at STEM subjects at school, for example, I'd also like to add kind of STEMpathy. There's that human ability to actually empathise, and I think those sort of areas where humans can be humans, creativity, empathy, caring for the ageing populations, those kind of jobs will be key for the future as well.
We've seen so much advance in telecommunications, you know, the web, all of that stuff. Do you think that we're being held back by manufacturers when it comes to robots? Do you think we should be further than where we are?
Well, the interesting thing is, if you look at even international politics at the moment, if we look to the United States, for example, it's easy to tell the general population that jobs are going to Mexico, right? Let's build a wall. But in fact, many of the jobs are going to the cloud, which it's a lot harder to build a wall against. But of course, people are a little bit slower to react to these kind of realities. And of course, politically, it's hard to sell jobs that don't yet exist.
Okay, so when you spoke about, you know, caring for perhaps an ageing population, so that's where we should be looking for growth industries and those sort of caring type, health type jobs.
I think anything in a world where everything that can be digitised effectively will become digitised. Any little snippets of humanity that can never be digitised are where we should be looking for real excelling and acceleration of our skills.
Anders, let's talk about film. You're a Her and an Ex Machina man. I'm more of a Blade Runner kind of a guy.
Good one.
Are those films on the money when it comes to robots, do you think?
Well, I think something like Her, for example, having relationships with artificial intelligence, right, is certainly something that is on the rise. And if we look at Ex Machina, for example, the way that the movie was launched at the South by Southwest conference 2 years ago to a bunch of geeks and, of course, technophiles, it was by setting up Ava, the main character in the movie, on Tinder. and then fooling a bunch of us men who are not as intelligent as you females, for example, into thinking that she was a real human being wanting to have a date. Of course, she was setting up this conversation with a multitude of people at the same time at the conference, fooling everybody. So I think they are on the money when it comes to present day and maybe even in the future.
Interesting.
And when it comes to, you know, acknowledging that females are the smarter species.
Yeah, absolutely. That is true.
And the dominant species.
Yes.
And we haven't been able to digitise you guys. So it's woman versus machine, not man versus machine.
And it's fascinating chat, man. Really, really cool. Thanks for joining us this Savo.
Good to be here.
Anders Sormann-Nilsson's new book, Seamless, is out right now. Please go grab it.